What if I told you some of the world's first universities didn't look like classrooms at all? No desks, no whiteboards, no degrees hanging on walls. Instead, people sat on the floor, in circles, inside mosques. And from those simple gatherings came some of the greatest minds in history: scientists, doctors, mathematicians, and scholars who changed the world. But how did a place of prayer become a place of knowledge? And what can we learn from that today? Stay with me, because this story will completely change how you see mosques. To understand this, we go back to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In the city of Medina, there was a simple mosque known as Al-Masjid an-Nabawi. This wasn't just a place to pray. It was a place to learn. After prayers, people didn't rush home. They stayed. They sat in small groups. They listened. They asked questions the Prophet himself taught them about faith, life, character, and knowledge. There was even a special group called Ahl al-Sufa, people who stayed in the mosque full-time to learn. No fancy buildings, no technology, just knowledge being shared from person to person. As Islam spread, this idea spread too. Mosques were built in cities across the world, and they all had something in common. They became centers of learning. People would gather in circles called halakha. A teacher would sit, and students would form a circle around him. No classrooms, no exams. Just listening, understanding, and asking questions. Subjects included the Quran, Hadith, sayings of the Prophet, law, language, history. But it didn't stop there. They also studied mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy. This was education open to anyone who wanted to learn. Over time, some mosques became world famous for learning. Al-Qarawiyyin Mosque, located in Fez. This mosque is considered one of the oldest universities in the world. Founded in 859, students traveled from far away just to study there. Al-Azhar Mosque. In Cairo, this mosque became one of the most important centers of Islamic learning. Even today, it is still active. Great Mosque of Cordoba. In Cordoba, this mosque was not just beautiful, it was filled with scholars and books. It was part of a city that became one of the most educated places in the world at that time. These mosques weren't just buildings, they were universities before universities existed. So, how did students learn in these mosques? It was simple, but powerful. Students would sit in circles, listen carefully, take notes, ask questions. Teachers didn't just teach facts, they taught how to think. And when a student became skilled, the teacher would give them permission to teach others. This was called an ijazah, like a certificate. There were no strict age limits. You could be young or old. If you wanted knowledge, you were welcome. One of the most powerful things about mosque learning was this: it was open. Rich or poor, local or traveler, anyone could sit and learn. In fact, many students traveled long distances, sometimes for months or even years, just to learn from a great teacher. Mosques became places where ideas were shared, questions were welcomed, knowledge was respected. This created a culture where learning was part of everyday life. So why is this important today? Because it shows us something powerful. Learning doesn't need fancy tools. It needs curiosity, good teachers, a place to gather. Mosques built communities of thinkers. They produced scholars who made huge contributions to the world. And it all started with people sitting together, learning. Today, many people think learning only happens in schools. But history tells us something different. You can learn anywhere. In a mosque, at home, online, with friends. What matters is your desire to grow. The same way those students sat in circles centuries ago. You can start your own journey today. So next time you see a mosque, don't just see a place of prayer. See a place that once shaped minds, built knowledge, and changed the world. A place where learning was simple, but powerful. If you enjoyed this video and want more powerful stories from Muslim history, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and tell me in the comments, what topic should I cover next? Because there are so many stories you've never heard before.